he go?
They both left.
Okay, they both left. What is this, a competition? Oh, good Lord.
That's so cute.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Oh. Wait, Indy, get over here.
Well, fine. I see yours, and I hold up Oswald, the America's Untold Stories dog.
No, Indy's too tired.
Cute
She's
on
not
cute crime.
moving. She's
All
not
right.
moving.
Rob, we didn't even discuss this.
I just, our brains are on the same wavelength, apparently.
Rob, we didn't even, it's just because like this, I couldn't destroy my house anymore because last week's entrance literally destroyed the wall there is like chipped and stained blue. And people were like, Rob can tell you how to fix that. You know, like repairs. And I'm like, no, I wear my scars proudly. That remains there as a reminder.
Oh, that's a good clip.
And aggressive this week.
And it's wonderful though, because people grab that clip and they put it all the way around.
Oh, so, that's great.
All right. And we're starting on a little bit of a lighter note. Okay. I think this week we're going to try to take a break from SA and DV, and we're going to explore sabotage. Because sabotage is very, very, very interesting. And I'm going to bring up another video that's probably going to annoy everybody else. I've been hearing that I'm obviously very pro Manson. Everything's pro Manson. What is it? I forget the comments, but essentially I'm extremely biased and everything is going that way. So I'll be sure to bring up a video that'll then piss off the people who support me, probably, because I'm obstinate that way. I haven't made up my mind on everything at this point. I do have very serious problems with a lot of stories, and I'm just in there. I'm like, prove it to me. In a weird way, maybe it's slightly the opposite, but I went into Johnny Depp saying, I don't know. I think he's got a bit of a hill to climb. So I don't know which way I'm going to go. But we don't hopefully have to have a trigger warning or anything like that. This is definitely, while it's serious to Corey Feldman, it's probably slightly less serious to us in many ways. I don't know how to explain that. Now, the good news is
not as loaded.
it is not as loaded.
It's not our careers.
Yeah. And it's potentially fun. I mean, we're going to look at a couple videos. I was really surprised to see that Corey Feldman came out. I was like, wait, what? You know, because I'm seeing this person, and then I had heard something about Corey Feldman. Then he popped back up in the news, and I guess he went on a podcast, and he was making some claims that his 2017 tour, well, it was infiltrated by Marilyn Manson agents.
Agents?
That's the best way I can put it. So, you know what? I don't want to take it away from Corey.
I want to say this before we jump into any of this, Eric, because I was really busy today with editing and stuff. I didn't look at any of this footage. I don't know what it is, but you know how I'm usually super like, let's wait, you know, even with a lot of evidence, like let's wait, behavior analysis is not clear. Just the headline of what you sent me, I was like, I've already made up my mind on this. What kind of an accusation is that? Like he infiltrated my tour with agents. Like what? Like let me put it this way. Usually I start right in the middle and I look for the evidence to sway me one way or the other. It's going to take a lot to sway me away from no, he didn't infiltrate you with agents.
Okay, well, you know what? But he could convince you, Spidey.
He could, yeah.
He could. I do not want to take away from Corey's thunder. So, to put this at a high note, I'm playing a little bit of podcast with Corey Feldman and Steve-O.
Wait, Eric.
Because that'll keep things very sincere.
Eric, wait, hang on. Spidey, who's Corey Feldman?
I don't know. I don't know who he is.
Have you seen The Goonies?
I tried that. We went through the list.
But I don't know who he is. And also, like, if he's an actor,
Stand By Me.
What's this tour he's on, Eric? If he's an actor,
You'll see, he's not just an actor, Spidey. He's a rock star.
He's
multi-talented.
Yes.
It's almost like he really likes attention at any cost, and he would say pretty much anything to get it. I get it.
But Spidey's
Don't
not
bury
convinced.
the lead or anything.
So we've got him with Steve-O of Jackass, which is a perfect setup, I think. But let's hear it. Corey's going to talk a little bit about a performance. And then, to be fair to Corey, I'm going to play some of that performance because we can see how that holds up. And then we'll go back to Corey again. And let's just have some fun.
For your prolific film career and you know, the staggering like success that you had in it, like I would believe that it's your music career that's been more financially rewarding for you.
You're right. Yeah, because it's been the last 5 years that my music luckily blew up. And again, this was, I believe, just an attempt to try and like knock me down and make me look like a jackass. Sorry for the expression.
It's all good.
But yeah, I mean, because we did the Today Show, which was obviously a setup. I mean, like every single media outlet at the exact same moment, the second we walked off stage, was like, what was that? What was that bizarre, strange performance? You know, Corey Feldman really blew the donkey or whatever. Like, it was terrible. What was he thinking? And it was all across the board. Everybody had the exact same headline. Like, you're telling me that there's not one single media outlet that saw it a little bit differently or had a different perspective or wrote maybe a few different words? No.
Okay, let's take him to that. He's saying that obviously there are some people who probably appreciated his performance. And I want to play it because we need to look at his performance.
Is this going to be as bad as the Ashley Simpson halftime show performance?
No. Worse.
I do remember this.
Kitty, all she wanna do is talk. Hit the club, tell him. Try to get you down, they put you on the ground, they leave you lying there, they're broken down and make a sound. Don't notice them, they check your life again. If you take from us, it's still nobody notice them. Just when you think it's all over, no hope in life, so what you gonna do? Every shot flies from exposure. So what have you got to lose?
I had to go to his power move. Okay, so
Rob disappeared. Rob, where'd you go?
Okay. So
listen, oh my god, it's so difficult for me because, like, oh my god.
Hey, I'm supposed to surprise you guys every week. Surprise!
I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh,
listen. I hate to criticize artistic expression. I hate to because, like, you guys know, my background is in performance. I've tried weird things. I have friends of mine who have tried weird things. And stuff.
Yes.
But, like, this wasn't audience ready.
It's a Today Show.
No,
it's a Today Show.
Oh my god, I see that.
No, don't worry. Look at the logo. It is the Today Show.
Yeah. I do remember when this came. I don't remember. It was like, I don't know how many years ago it was, but I remember seeing it like when it came, and I was like, "What is happening?"
This is the most watched event on the Today Show, at least to this point. Sometime after, I don't know if there's been something better, but okay. Now let's go back to the interview because he did.
No. Let's profile, please. Let's profile.
So uncomfortable right now.
Please, this is why I'm here. We need to profile a little before we
actually go. Let's pause even longer just to stew in Rob's discomfort.
Just.
So baby, let's go for it. Let's go for it. We got nothing to lose, so baby,
You got nothing to lose, baby.
Now, there is silver lining. There is silver lining here. There's silver lining.
What is the silver lining?
This may be a bad performance. This may be a bad performance, but it has definitely given me my entrance for next week's video.
Are you going to do the little walk that he does?
I'm not going to say more.
No, I want him to rip off the.
All I'm going to say is it's given me my, because I'm running out of ideas, but I'm set now. I have a week of I can just calmly rest, knowing I don't have to worry because I have my entrance.
I can calmly rest after watching that. I need peace.
Rob, that's Corey and the Angels. Okay, so be nice.
Oh man. Yeah. So I just like to talk about the type of person it would take to do something like this. So presumably for this performance, any big performance, any big performer, you hire directors, you hire producers, you hire people who are going to input advice. One of two things happened. Either he hired butt kissers who aren't going to tell him they don't like something,
right? Because
that's the type of people he surrounds himself with. And people have just gone used to, if he has an idea, just let him run with it. Or he hired people who told him this wasn't a good idea and he ignored their advice. Those are the only two options. I don't see a third option where this gets televised. It's either people who are too scared to tell him, we don't think you should do that, or people who are telling him, listen, we don't think it looks
question I wanted to.
What's that?
No, I was getting back to the other video too. Sorry.
So to me, right away, we're seeing, as ridiculous as it is, and we can look at it and laugh, we're seeing someone who isn't scared to present things publicly, even if everyone else would look at it and go, what are you doing here? So it's slightly delusional. It requires a big ego. It requires somewhere it requires confidence. Somewhere it requires real confidence to do that.
You're looking for the word delusions of grandeur.
Here's the grandeur. I do want to point out something that really is important. He was a tremendous child actor. He really was.
Okay,
I mean, he's an A-lister, a child actor.
So Rob, new term, preservation of grandeur.
Oh, I like that one.
That might be. So I do want to give that to him because Stand By Me, amazing. Goonies. He delivered. He had a really rough time. He was emancipated at 15 years old. We're laughing now, but I look at it and I'm like, he was in Stand By Me. You know who else was in Stand By Me? River Phoenix. Where's River? Oh, he's dead. River died of an overdose outside of the Viper Room, to go full circle with Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp's club. Will Wheaton, also in that movie. Have you seen Will Wheaton? Wheaton's got
Big Bang Theory a lot.
Yeah, but if you watch, Will Wheaton's kind of a little odd himself. Nice guy, all that, but you could just see that it's hard on these. It's hard on them. It's a very, very tough upbringing and background.
Being a child actor in general, being in Hollywood generally, but I can only imagine that if you were a child actor at the time that he was a child actor, particularly, there were a lot of ways to fall over some sort of awful tripwire, maybe a series of them that can totally screw up or derail your entire life. I could imagine. So
I think it's child actor plus ego is a bad mix because you're not going to be able to keep up that fame that you once had. And if it affects your ego to where you need that to survive, because our brain adapts, right? What you feed your brain, it wants more of. So, when
you can't mature, you're not maturing in a normal environment. You're maturing in a bubble, quite literally. And I quote Adam Carolla on this, but I think he's got a point. He said, you don't have any gravity. If you don't have gravity in your life, you're like an astronaut who gets off of the space shuttle and they have to learn to walk again because they lose all of their muscle tension. Well, if you have nothing in life, even though his life is hard, you don't have like normal interactions with people, then how do you mature?
And you do anything to be talked about, whether it's good or bad. So there is let me add in a third option due to this discussion to what I said earlier. He knows this looks really silly. He knows that. He's not actually delusionally telling himself this is a talented choreography that I'm going to enter to. He's just saying it'll get people to talk about me again. If you look at Lindsay Lohan, there was a point in her career where she was doing anything to be talked about. It didn't matter if it was graceful or nice or elegant or artful. It didn't matter.
Okay, so let's go back to the video though, because he's making some statements, and let's see.
Somebody already has. Don't worry. Somebody's sitting there like, you're an asshole.
Yeah, on the comments.
Of course, you're an asshole. You don't know how to do math. Go bite yourself.
It brings me back to the question I wanted to ask, which is for your prolific film career, success that you had in it, like rewarding for you.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been the last 5 years that my music luckily blew up. And again, this was, I believe, just an attempt to try and like knock me down and make me look like a jackass. Sorry for the expression.
It's all good.
But yeah, I mean, because we did the Today Show, which was obviously a setup. I mean, like every single media outlet at the exact same moment, the second we walked off stage, was like, what was that? What was that bizarre, strange performance? Corey Feldman really blew the donkey or whatever. Like, it was terrible. What was he thinking? And it was all across the board. Everybody had the exact same headline. Like, you're telling me that there's not one single media outlet that saw it a little bit differently or had a different perspective?
Yes, Corey, we are telling you that. Yes.
Or wrote maybe a few different words. No, it was the exact same language across the board at the same time. Isn't that miraculous?
Who'd you piss off?
Exactly. So
do you think
a
that
bunch of pedophiles that are very powerful too?
Whoa! Do you think that in that case, because
now, Rob, you got to know his history.
One can criticize that performance and also not be a pedophile.
Yeah.
Well, Corey Feldman, just more background. I don't know if you've seen lately, but he released a movie that he was exposing people. I can't go into. I can't say the word, the P word.
That was.
Well, it's us against them. He calls the people who are criticizing him for certain claims with his band and all that. He calls them the Wolf Pack. There's a guy, Bobby Wolf, who like interviews them. And so he's like, and there's police reports he's put out on the people, all kinds of information. I'm not going to go into all of those. I want to kind of keep it at the higher level here.
That's fine. I just was caught off guard. Like, where did that even come from?
Yeah, and you know what? Let's look at the body language there. There's a visible shift. Up until that point, when he says the thing about the P word, he's kind of joking and his tone is kind of like light. And it's sort of like, even when he's saying that, a lot of the headlines were mocking him. Yeah, his ego's tilted there, but we're seeing him was like, what, there isn't one? Like, sort of like he's light about it. But the moment that co-host asks,
who has it in for you?
All of a sudden, there's a complete shift to a very serious tone, deadlocked on him, chin protects downwards like this. We're protecting the neck, and we see this gesture. A lot of powerful P's in Hollywood. And this is never a good thing. There's been a lot of research done on hand gestures when we speak and the way people speak. This is the one that makes an audience feel the most like disconnected from the speaker and seems the speaker seem the most aggressive. And in speaking, we often say, if you're the type of person who does this, just bring your thumb up and do this, because this is perceived as a lot more informative and this is perceived as a lot more aggressive. So in that moment, we're seeing real aggression come out.
He also did it early on when he said, when Steve-O said, I bet you made a lot more money. He went, he pointed at him. I don't know if you remember that.
No, not
right at the beginning of the sequence.
Because I didn't see that shift, so I didn't. My analysis.
Spidey sense didn't kick on.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So,
how old does this make everyone feel? By the way, to hear Steve-O's like voice that sounds like he's halfway to a grave, and Corey Feldman looking
That's
like
the result of smoking a lot of things that.
This interview is literally like 6 months old, 5 months old. It's pretty recent.
Oh no! I mean, I feel old. Like I remember these guys.
By the way, a lot of people in the comments are like, "Oh, great, Corey Feldman talking to Steve-O." Steve-O is actually a really, really smart guy. I have some friends who are close with him, and they've done magic for him. And he's one of those rare people that, like, the moment the magic hits, like, he'll smile, get that reaction, but then he'll go into analytic mode, and he'll figure a lot of things out that most people can't piece together. And I don't know if it's his experience with stunts. So,
oh yeah, he's got to calculate the maximum effect. I mean, those stunts, that whole Jackass thing, I never watched it, but I have to appreciate that they have to produce a product with zero fat that is going to have maximum effect every way, but still walk away alive.
Like, there's method there too. Like, his mind often has to, like, break. It's kind of an illusion in of itself.
It is magic, isn't it? I was just thinking, isn't it kind of similar to what you do?
Yeah, I would think so, because, I mean, listen, I haven't done stunts like that, but I would assume that most of the time they have to be like, okay, the effect has to be this, but the method could be less dangerous than the perceived effect. So I think he's got a super analytic mind.
All right.
There was so much widespread, coverage of this performance, which was critically panned. Like, just the fact that there was that much coverage, do you think
inadvertently it made it go through the roof?
Right.
First of all, it was the most, because of what they did, it backfired. It was the most viewed performance in the Today Show history. That's what she said.
Now remember what he just said right now, okay?
Proud of it.
No, but remember, he specifically just said it was the most viewed performance in Today's Show history.
The cadence.
But not just remember those words.
Remember the facts, okay.
Remember the words and the facts, and he said them.
So Tamra Hall said it on live TV. She goes, "This is the most viewed performance in the TodayShow.com ever." Boom.
Right.
I believe it.
Subscribe to the note.
It's got some Trump hands going on right now.
Well, that was a different statement.
Oh, the .com. Yeah. I'll still give it to him. I'll tell you what. I would take those kind of views on my channel because it was in the millions. It was a big deal.
I would have a difficulty showing my face in public again.
Well, no, I said I take the views, not that I do it. Not that I would do the performance. I'll just take the views.
You know what's hilarious?
I think you said you'll do the performance.
No, Rob. Yeah, that would harm people's eyes. You're the pretty boy. Everyone wants to see Rob.
Here's the thing. This is why Rob's having such a hard time with this, because Rob is usually, like, so calm and composed, and like he would never do anything even slightly out of the box to embarrass himself, because,
except for Lawyers and Dragons, am I right? Hey-o.
But even when he talks about, like, presenting himself on the public forum, like, he has a reputation as a lawyer to protect, and, like, I've often heard Rob talk about, like, image in such a, like, important way. So yeah, I don't think Rob's brain can understand doing something so embarrassing just to get the views.
Nope.
Notion that there's no such thing as bad publicity in this case.
Well, there isn't, as long as they're writing about you or talking about you, then you're in good shape. So that's why what they're doing to me now is even worse, because they won't even have me on to explain what's been going on. They won't even have me on to explain what happened to my film. We're talking about $100 million worth of liquid corruption that just happened. Tax evasion. Who's paying the taxes on all that money that went through those fingertips? I mean, where's all that advertising money? All that,
if you can't trace down the people and the money for a copyright claim.
And not only that, but they were making DVDs.
He story on this part. He wrote or produced a movie called I cringe at the title because it's My, in parentheses, Truth, which I can't stand the whole My Truth thing, colon, the R word of the two Coreys. And it's all about him and Corey Haim and they're being victims as children. And it's very contentious, to the point that I don't know if he did the restraining order on Corey's mother, but Corey's mother has said, "I'll sue you," because she's saying something did happen with Corey one time, but that Corey Feldman is trying to profiteer to get $10 million off of it. It is a big contention there. But what I thought was interesting is he was saying no, they wouldn't have me back on. Nobody will talk to me. Here is an interesting video that I found. Let me see.
By the way, to anyone seeking significance, and this is a man who seeks significance, he wants to remain significant. Being ignored by the masses is pretty much the worst thing you can do.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. All right. So
became a household name in the 80s, starring in classic films like Goonies and Stand By Me. But lately, he's been in the headlines for his music career and a performance he did right here on Today just a few weeks ago. Corey and his band performed his latest single, Go For It, and the segment instantly went viral. No exaggeration there, being tweeted, shared, and written about endlessly online. It's even become the year's most watched Today.com video. Boom, take that. So Corey is back in our studio to talk.
that seems to me like he was able to come back. I don't know. Maybe I misinterpreted.
There's nuance there. He's coming back as a performer, not as a.
I guess.
But aren't
great
they
costuming though. It's either he's going to go in the ring any minute, or
aren't they like giving him a second shot to perform it again?
No, it's another song.
Oh, why? Why? And also, why does he? Did the person who directed or did the costuming for Twilight just join his band? Like,
Eric, you have someone in the comments who says they paid money to go see Corey and the Angels live.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Well, they did.
Paid for it. Tara, we need Tara to come in on the stream and tell us why.
You know what? To hate watch? I don't know. Oh, here we go. There's Tara. Well, I mean, I don't know. It is one of those that you want to see what he's going to do next.
Yeah, Tara, how many therapy sessions afterwards did it take you to get?
Oh, dude, go to the super chat. Here's one for the lawyers. He's being sued by some of these angels.
Oh yeah. No, that's part of the contention. And
Corey's angels.
Let's just say there are claims against Marilyn Manson. There are claims against Corey. Okay. So I mean, I'll just leave it there. But I'm not going. I'm just not going to get into that because this is just fascinating to me. Because
by the way, 0% of this, and I hope everyone watching knows this, 0% of this speaks to the difficult past he's had. We're looking at just performances. We're looking at what's happening with Marilyn Manson. We're looking at this personality type. And it's easy to mock. It's easy to laugh at. I mean, we're getting good material to sort of lean into that a little. But 0% of this speaks to the difficult life that he had. You know, I'm very sorry that happened. That should happen to no one. That's not a matter any of us take lightly. It's a very isolated analysis. You know, I talked to Eric earlier this week, and he was like, let's just take a break from the heavy stuff. Cause like we're all kind of a little sick of like constantly being on these witch hunts, and we get it. It needs to be done. But Alyte, why are you laughing?
No, it's true. It does get wearisome.
I looked at and this is the reason I didn't want to. And I talked to Eric. I said this is part of the reason I don't want to do the Marilyn Manson thing because I'm sick of this witch hunt of victims. And I'll come on your channel and I'll do it. But I just need a break from being that guy who keeps looking at victims or survivors and saying, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. Like it really gets tiring. So we just wanted to do something light and fun that wasn't
right. And we can look at that performance and say, oh my God, what did he do? Exactly. And I think that universally everyone can agree that is not the one you would record and send home to mom.
Unless you hated your mother.
Well, we'll send it to Rob's mother.
Don't say it to my mom. I love my mom. She doesn't deserve that torture.
All right.
About the reaction to his performance and sing another song for us from his new double CD, Angelic to the Core. Hey, Corey, good to see you.
Hello, and thank you so much for all the love and support. We love you.
Thank you. Of course. Listen, we were reading some of these tweets, and they bordered on just awful.
Insanity?
The worst. Insanity.
Yeah.
But what people didn't know, you were hearing from a lot of people. Pink,
Yeah, Pink, Kesha, Miley Cyrus, Paris Jackson. They all
Michael
reached
Jackson's
out.
daughter reached out to you.
Yes, and she was lovely. Lovely young girl.
When did you realize that it was all noise and you needed to be true to you?
You know what? A friend of mine who actually helped, he's an investor of mine, his name is Brian McMullen, and he was on the phone with me. I was all depressed and I was crying, and he said, think of it this way. When Kiss first started, when Eminem first started, when Nirvana first started, they all got hate. People were turning them off at the radio stations. People were walking off the dance floor at the clubs because it didn't make sense to them at that time. But those all became amazing legends.
Right.
So just think of it that way. And that really turned it around for me because I'm like, you know what, you're right. A lot of people get hate in the beginning because something.
Spidey, you're doing a Rob here. Come on. You're gonna have to talk. I'm just seeing what you're like.
Speaking of Rob, I think Delusions of Grandeur is like more accurate now than ever before because you're comparing yourself to Eminem and Nirvana. Like you're comparing yourself to musical artists who changed the genre that they were in forever. Like that.
Yep.
That's what you're comparing this to.
And then you're saying after you're comparing that, you're saying, and then it made me feel better because it made sense for me.
Yeah. Like you know, like, and that is straight up Delusion of Grandeur because it's not him going like humbly looking at this and going, yeah, okay, maybe I'm not.
Like maybe I can be like them. Maybe I can end up where they ended up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But he's assuming he's already there. And like this is people just don't get me yet.
Yep.
Which I mean, sometimes you have a dream and you've got to be the first one to believe in it, you know, and then people will doubt you and you move ahead with it. But
okay, but
it helps to have those people around you who are going to give you a fresh dose of reality, though.
But
the question is this, though, Spidey.
To stay realistic.
Does he believe?
Exactly.
Does he believe his own copy? You know, is he truly deluded and actually believes it, or does he not? And I am interested in that because that's like I said, this is, I think, actually interesting in that regard.
So, two opposing theories. I'll tell you what they are, and then I'll try to figure out what I think. Given his personality type, it could be either one. Because when you have, like Rob said, those delusions of grandeur, when you have that ego, when you have been a superstar, so it's gone to your head to where you're in the superstar mindset, it's possible that he looks at himself and goes, no, I'm just an artist. And, you know, I'm like Eminem and Nirvana, just trying to be different. It's possible. But on the other hand, again, earlier we talked about how he will do anything to get a rise out of people. He'll do anything to get a reaction out of people. So he knows that that's a provocative statement. Now, Eric, you and I, we studied, you know, statement analysis, body language analysis. There's nothing in that statement that would seem like he doesn't believe that. He's looking straight at her, duping Alyte. Maybe he's got a bit of a smile, but that was there the entire time.
More of a request for approval. It's about, that's the most that I see is kind of a.
But it's baseline.
Yeah, but it's
baseline for him. I mean, I haven't had a proper chance to baseline him too much, but those eyebrows going up and down is very baseline for him. So there's nothing in that moment. Like he didn't hesitate. It wasn't like, Eminem and Nirvana, like there wasn't any weakness or unconfidence in that tone. He just straight up looked her in the face and said, I'm like Nirvana and Eminem. So, whew,
you know what's weird? And this is interesting too, because of his fame as a child. And I'm not kidding when I say he was big. He didn't get paid as much as you think, but he was famous and a celebrity before either of them came on the scene.
Yeah.
He was famous before Nirvana.
Right.
He was famous before Eminem.
Good point.
So there is maybe a little aspect of it like, I was already there.
Eric, good catch. He's not comparing himself
That
to
is a good
Elvis
point.
or people who came before him who he sees in a high esteem because he looked up to him. He's looking at people who came after him and got more fame than him. Eric, that's a great freaking point. And because you pointed that out, I'm going to lock in that I 100% believe that he does believe what he's saying because he sees these artists as like newer artists who kind of, but he was there before them. He's bigger than them. And if they could do it, he could do it too. Eric, freaking great catch, dude.
Cool. All right. So I'm done with this part. So let's get to the main course. That's some fun appetizers. We got a little bit of entertainment.
You got a weird definition of fun.
Watching Rob cringe is fun for all. There's over 1,000
no,
people
that's the definition.
right now.
Exactly.
Over 1,000 of you, by the way. I hope you all hit like. Please hit the like. That'd be really cool. Because we like to see Rob cringe. And we like to watch Spidey compete a little because it was funny seeing Spidey cringing a little too. Like, oh my God. Oh my God. He's like, I've done some silly shit with my stage magic, but oh my God.
Yeah, you're aiming for the heart here, man, because like the performer in me is dying a little.
You care to elaborate things?
All right. So I am going to now show you a podcast that came out, I think, 2 days ago. So it's as current as I can get. And on the Steve-O interview, he did talk about the sabotage and the agents and somebody. On this, he names the somebody. So there's a neat parallel there, because remember, a lot of accusers were talking about somebody and they wouldn't say who it was. And then they eventually came out and then boom, they named them. So here, get to watch, and well, let's let Corey tell us.
Previously alluded to some crazy things that happened on tour. Would you care to elaborate? What are some of the craziest things that you've seen on the road?
Okay, well, I mean, the Heavenly Tour was definitely the exact opposite of that. It was the Hellish Tour. Corey's Hell Tour is really what it should have been called, but that was due to infiltration. We had literally infiltration on our last tour. We had people that were sent in that were spies, that were not actually there to be musicians, but rather there to cause mayhem. And this was when I hired all the girls. So it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
Can you go back?
When was this?
Can you go back? Sorry, can you just go back to when you actually said it?
On the road.
Okay, well, I mean, the Heavenly Tour was definitely the exact opposite of that. It was the Hellish Tour. Corey's Hell Tour is really what it should have been called, but that was due to infiltration. We had literally infiltration on our last tour. We had people that were sent in that were spies, that were not actually there to be musicians, but rather there to cause mayhem. And this was when I hired all the girls. So it was a nightmare.
Now, what I love about it, though, is, and again, I'm not sure on the sincerity level. I can't help but wonder if it's just somebody who's incapable of internalizing anything, because what is he saying? And you'll hear it as it goes. Oh, they were singing off key or playing off key, or, so it's like, well, if you have an awful act, blame the band.
Yep.
That's really kind of what I'm hearing here, but we're going to a new level. Was I exaggerating? He said infiltration. And now he didn't say agents, he said spies. I'm sorry, Spidey. Maybe I misrepresented, but it's close enough in my head. People
he's
infiltrated.
He said infiltrated, and he says literally. And every time someone does that and says literally, and then repeats the same exact word, you should literally not listen to what they said.
Yeah, so literally is interesting, and I caught that. I also caught like the eyebrows were pretty flat most of the time, but they flashed at that point. And Eric, I think he believes it. Because I don't think his mind will allow him to take fault. Like if the tour was unsuccessful, if people didn't like the concert, it can't be his fault. So there must have been spies who infiltrated, not sabotage or somebody messed with. No. Spies who infiltrated this event. This is serious stuff. And they literally, So I think what we're seeing there with the eyebrow flash and this literally isn't him not believing his story. It's him sort of, he's like,
pay attention to me. This is
emphasizing.
This is
emphasizing
real.
It.
Yeah, emphasizing exactly, Lito. Like, guys, literally this happened. Eyebrow flash. You're not going to believe this, but you have to believe this. Remember, the studies from Ekman show that our body language is very similar when we're being deceptive or when we're being truthful, but fear that people won't believe us. So this is like, there's even a little bit of realism coming into this from his head going, okay, this is crazy, but guys, literally listen to me. This happened. I think he believes it. I think he believes it was actually infiltrated.
Let's continue and let him tell us.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare.
When was this?
This was on our last tour. the 2017 tour, when I had to shut it down amidst the tour. We had done like 80 shows. It was supposed to go international. But unfortunately, there were some people planted into the tour that were literally just there to cause problems. They were purposely singing off key, purposely playing wrong parts, you know, doing stuff like that so that we would get negative attention, negative reviews, and then, you know, made all these.
There is zero recall in his eyes.
None.
And there is tons of flutters. So, you know, if I'm telling you that this concert went horribly and there were people playing off key and there was someone doing this, you're going to typically, of course, there's absolutely no.
Like Bill on drums. He can't get the, we're talking to him and it's like the bass player sitting there, we're jamming and it's like, what did you lose the tom? You were just sitting there pounding on a snare off beat. It was making us crazy. Something like that.
So, well, yeah, something like that. There's just going to be, first of all, there's going to be in the face, we're going to see recall as he recalls because he's hearing that they played off key on this typically, not always.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, people say, you know, you always go right or left when you're recalling this and up and none of that. I'm just saying we don't all recall the same way, but we all sort of look for that memory as we talk about it. In this case, he's looking straight at it. He says, sabotage, no, this is a script. It's a story he's told before. So he's regurgitating that. And all of a sudden we see that blink rate just fly to the roof as he's fluttering. To me, this suggests that he has this theory and he's convinced of it, but he doesn't have exactly concrete proof to be able to say, this person was a spy. Why isn't he naming these spies? Why isn't he saying, and I don't know if he does, I don't know if he goes on to do that, but if I'm going to tell you that someone infiltrated my band, I'm going to say the guitarist was doing this. I'm going to say the drummer was doing that. It's just a generalized accusation, you know, but there's no evidence. None of what he said is evidence. It's all speculation. It's all delusion.
His pace also increased, like from speaking casually to like a mile a minute. I would have loved to see, you know, his heart rate probably just shot through the roof right there, like right as he went there, and his breath rate probably just increased. And I mean, the anxiety he experienced in that moment.
Yep. It's high stress.
Well, that's statement analysis there, where it's like we go over the hard part.
Yep.
We move really quickly through the hard part, and then we go back to the part we savor. You know, it's different speeds of sections.
Is there a possibility that maybe he sped up because he's used to people cutting him off when he tells that story or gives his theory or something? Like he's like, I want to get out as much as I can before. Maybe?
I don't know. I'm going to say I don't know because he does have. I've talked to some people who actually have dealt with him, but anyway, you've seen like Steve-O. Were they cutting him off? I think that everybody's a little careful around it because he's had a lot of trauma, you know, way back in the day, and I think everybody's a little cautious. So I don't know that they're doing that. Go ahead. Sorry, Spidey. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's not entirely unlikely what Alyte is saying. Sometimes when we're feared that, again, when we fear we're not going to be believed, we speak faster. Just get it out there, get the facts out there before someone has a chance to cut us off.
So, yeah, I mean, it can be. Man, just
terrible allegations after the tour ended, saying we didn't feed them and we didn't pay them and they didn't shower and just stupid stuff. But it went on, and you know, that was a
compression. Yeah, I'm just
nightmare for us. Obviously, we had all kinds of stuff we had to deal with because of that. And you know, it left a bad taste in my mouth, and especially given the fact that
that's what recall looks like. That's what recall looks like when he's talking about the aftermath.
Yeah.
Notice how he's like here, and he's like, "There's reflection there, left a bad taste in my mouth." That's real recall. So
in the speech that that's the searching the memory bank.
Yep, there's something happening there that's coming from real thought as opposed to just this pre-memorized script that's being thrown out. Yeah, and Sandy's right in the comments. His blink rate is out of control. Not only is there a lot of flutters now, but we're also seeing eye blocking to where like before it was flutters, now he's actually pausing as he closes the eyes. And this happens in two things. One is reflection when we're actually thinking of something, thinking back. You might close your eyes to try to get a better image of it in your mind. Second is something you don't want to face. Like I close my eyes because it's hard to face. In this point, it could very well be both.
Well, it's like Rob watching the video.
Or it's Rob watching a video of Elaine Bedoff.
or him on stage. Rob, both Rob and Alita. It was like they were.
I was blocking my whole face.
I couldn't.
I was watching through my fingers.
So, yeah,
Oh my god,
that's a great example. Both Alita and Rob were like eye blocking because they don't want to face this. I think it's both in this case. I think there's a bit of like him recalling. The aftermath seems a lot more real to me than the event that he described. So I think there's a lot of that sort of recall, but also it was hard for him to face these. Is he talking about allegations? Like they ended up saying that he underpaid them? That's what he's saying, right?
yes. Yeah,
that's real.
There were claims that about the
real.
pay and whatnot.
That feels real.
There was so much success. There was so much positive energy. I mean, the bus broke down 10 times. It happened to be Marilyn Manson's bus.
Boom.
And when I say happened to, I use that term lightly. It happened to be also Marilyn Manson's bus driver. And it also happened to be Marilyn Manson's girlfriend that was part of the band, or one of his girlfriends or whatever. So, yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
We're getting quite a few mouth shrugs there. We got quite a few mouth shrugs there at the end of all this.
Well, he just explicitly named them, right?
Yeah.
Explicitly, his bus, his driver, his girl. I mean, these are agents or spies.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. Now, just on the surface, whatever you think about Marilyn Manson, can you picture somebody saying, "Well, let me send spies in to Corey Feldman's concert"? Now, by the way, this feud goes back 20 years, which is very, very interesting. There's a great Instagrammer, Marilyn Manson Uncanceled, put up some stuff on this, but Marilyn Manson wrote about Corey Feldman in his book.
Oh, his autobiography?
Well, that book, that is a very contentious book, and I don't know how much
the one
of it
that has
real.
a disclaimer saying that he's the composite character or something like that, and a lot of the stuff is made up and
by the way,
to be taken seriously.
You know who wrote the book, right? Neil Strauss.
Neil Strauss and him.
Who wrote the game? Yes, Spidey knows.
I know.
Spidey knows where we're going. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, by the way, we're working it out, but I'm going to have Ross Jeffries, who is part of the game, coming on to talk about Neil Strauss and how that process works.
Mm-hmm.
Because
interesting. I'm about a third of the way through the audiobook right now.
Me too. It's interesting. Yeah, it's anyway. But the thing is, you can see where
I sleep more, or is it going to take away from my sleep? Is it something that I need to listen to, or no?
No,
probably not.
It's not right before sleep.
No,
I don't want to be rude. It's kind of juvenile.
It's a great read, but it is based in reality. People have to remember that it's based in reality. It's there's a lot of exaggerations there. Are you
talking about Manson's book or the game?
The game.
Okay, we were talking about Manson's book, but the game too. Got it.
The game. I totally apologize.
Oh yeah.
No, but it's a similar thing. The game is based on a true story, I guess, if you want to call it. Norm Macdonald, great Canadian, you should be proud, Spidey, wrote a book called his memoirs, and he called it Based on a True Story. And it starts off with like something real, and then it just gets spun and spun and spun into this ludicrous to where he's like doing cocaine off of it's like he talks about his normal life and it spins into a Hunter S. Thompson psychodrama, but he's a comedian, so he's having fun with it.
Yeah.
This is Marilyn Manson writing a horror show. That's Neil Strauss writing a pickup thing. But so it's hard to know. It really is, and you can't quote the book exactly, but it's frustrating.
The impression that I've gotten so far from it is it I mean, I know it came out at a different time than now, right? Like where
90s, yeah.
In the 90s, where I feel like it was a lot easier to shock people.
Yes and no, we weren't as woke. I mean, honestly, in the 90s, it was edgier. It was very much edgier then.
I think his brand of shock. It was easier to shock people with what he did, I think. I don't know. Maybe that's just my perception. I was pretty little around that time. So maybe it's just like, you know, my own filters coming through there. But I don't know. It feels like, my impression of the book is it feels like it's just an attempt by someone to sort of like create his own mythos through a book. Wow. You know, like regardless of whether it's true or not, like he's just trying to like basically spell out what this,
well, it's his creation. That's his origin story,
you know? Yeah. Like the origin story of Marilyn Manson and not necessarily of Brian Warner. And
Correct.
It's like, it's, you know, obviously there's probably some mix of the two in there, but like right off the bat, it feels like, okay, like how much of this could really be true? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
No, it is his, he's a supervillain character, and that is his origin story. He has said it on Larry King. He talked about it a little bit, saying that he was drafting the character of Marilyn Manson in the autobiography. And keep it in mind that Marilyn Manson himself is a creation. He was the first person to review Marilyn Manson. He wrote an article about the band as Brian Warner. And this is what makes it really difficult to follow this dude, because everything he has is a show. It's out there. And I don't know, you know, where does the truth stop? Where does it end? You know, it's very difficult to find out. But Corey's kind of getting a little bit of that in real life. And in the book, he kind of he wrote a little segment that was just mocking the bejesus out of Corey Feldman. And I believe he did actually mock the bejesus out of Corey Feldman in real life. And that upset Corey Feldman, and Corey Feldman got in a fight with Rose McGowan, because she was Marilyn Manson's girlfriend at the time, on Howard Stern. And that transcript is out there. So this is some deep-seated stuff. And there is if you look at the thumbnail, you will see Corey Feldman's Instagram post where he talked about Marilyn Manson victimizing him all the way back when they first met. So that's
I wondered if I mean, and forgive me, because when Corey Feldman was big, I mean, what kind of public persona did he represent to the public? Because, you know, like Marilyn Manson has always been like very particularly like opposed to mainstream culture, right? Like that was like his whole thing, was to like stand in opposition to mainstream culture. So I wonder, like, if Corey Feldman was a child star, you know, who was
boy.
Like, okay,
he tried to put himself off as bad boy, club goer, throw money around. He is the biggest name. I mean, he was a childhood star, and it was drugs and bigger than life, and that was the persona he portrayed.
Well, he and Drew Barrymore were almost the same age, and both had drug issues, and you know, a lot of them.
Yeah. But I mean, he was also like a teen, like someone in the chat said, teen heartthrob. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, not quite as big as Corey Haim. He was like a little under Corey Haim, but he was close. He was like, and I don't know if there might have been a little bit of competition there, but I do remember, you know, just kind of observationally seeing that Corey Haim was on more covers, and it might be Corey and Corey, but it's usually Haim, sometimes Corey, and you know, Feldman too, but not soloing. He wasn't quite as big as the Corey Haim, who died in 2010.
So I could see Corey Feldman sort of being a representation of something that Marilyn Manson was just diametrically opposed to. So that could be a reason why he would just naturally fall in his crosshairs.
Oh yeah, well, Manson literally wrote in that he was being the biggest ass or something. He wrote that he was being deliberately a shit, essentially, to Corey Feldman, because he was going to be a shit, and that was his shtick. It was to be a shit. It was And he didn't use the word shit. It's just what's popping in my head.
Right.
It's deliberate.
I would like to know, going back to the video we just saw.
Yes, sir.
How did it go about him getting Marilyn Manson's bus and bus driver? Like, how did that happen?
Mhm.
Because it's not like Marilyn called him out of the blue and said, "Hey, Corey, need a bus?" That didn't happen. So Corey called him, or somehow got in touch with him and said, "Listen, I'm going on tour. I need such and such. I'm running out of funds." I don't know how it happened, but people don't call random friends and say, "Hey, do you need a bus?" Like, it must have come up from him.
Well,
So,
I don't know, Spidey. I could be wrong. It was Marilyn Manson's. Was it Marilyn Manson's bus, or was it a bus that different people have used, including Marilyn Manson? Because there is an interview with a bus driver who's saying he pretty much is out year round, and he could have been hired on to the Manson tour. His tour ended, and it's like, okay, there's just a bus there. I don't
What's
know
my
if
next
there's
gig?
Is there any reference services?
So
like charter jets, that kind of thing.
if that's the case, then it is freaking delusional to assume that Marilyn Manson had anything to do with your bus crapping out on you. Because if what you mean by this is Marilyn Manson's bus as an accusation that he somehow messed with you, if what you mean by it's his bus is this is a bus he once used, so what? He put like a timer on it?
He touched it.
So first of all, we're not getting any details of what happened to the damn bus. We don't know what the sabotage. Did the tires go flat? Did the engine blow out?
It broke down 10 times, he said.
What happened?
It broke down 10 times, he said.
So I'm Marilyn Manson. Corey Feldman. Please, if you're watching, answer me this. I'm Marilyn Manson. I have this bus. I know that when I'm done with this bus, other people are going to use it, and maybe eventually Corey Feldman's going to use it. I don't know that for a fact. How could he know that? Anyways, I'd love that information. First of all, how does Marilyn Manson, when he has this bus, know that eventually Corey Feldman's going to be on this bus? Whatever. Let's say he has it. What do you do to a bus to time it so that it craps out 10 times in a specific window of time? What do you do?
You hire one of the girlfriends to put a banana in the tailpipe.
Well,
I don't know.
be in the band. To be in the band to play out a tune and sabotage.
Right. And you bribe the bus driver to like go let the air out of the tires. So the bus, once having been Marilyn Manson's, to me holds zero weight. There's nothing you could do. There's nothing you could do to a bus that is it's like a delayed sort of thing that's gonna mess up at a specific time when Corey Feldman's using the bus. That's really delusional. It's not even possible for him to do that. And you know what? If there is a way that I'm not thinking of, he should have said that in the interview. Because if I'm going to accuse someone, I'm going to go, here's what I think he did to the bus.
I agree.
Yeah.
And to stay within some degrees of time constraints, actually, here, I do have, this is the Instagram post that Corey had put up talking about when they met, and he took it down.
Hit Control Plus, zoom in.
Zoom in, enhance.
Enhance.
That's from back in the 90s. Anyway, that was from back in the 90s.
Corey Feldman looks like he does magic tricks.
Well, he loves he does the peace sign every time he's, out. But the night Marilyn Manson tried to use and abuse being played by trying to admit, like, blah, 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 blah. Corey seems to have a problem in the sense that everybody else is doing it. Like, Marilyn is going to make me do drugs. Marilyn's going to do this. Marilyn's going to give me a bus.
Didn't Corey Feldman also, wasn't his sobriety and him going in and out of rehab a constant thing that he was dealing with?
Yes.
Like repeatedly before and after this.
Yes, for on and off for a long time. And by the way, Spidey, that is something we haven't addressed. I have heard in interviews that during the Today Show appearance and stuff, that while he was being, part of Corey and the Angels and a, shall we say, religiously oriented band, that he was actually doing a lot of drugs and other things.
I mean, he doesn't strike me as overly religious.
Well, he's very religious. Ask him. Which was ironic, by the way, in that Steve-O interview, I was thinking, oh, this is religious Corey. But he was talking about all the women he was hooking up with in the Playboy Mansion and how he'd bring them in. And so it's just, he's an interesting dude to keep up with.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is that part there. But I'm going to move on to another interview. And this one, I think is going to be interesting. Let's talk about the man of the hour. I'll start and play a little bit of it so we can kind of do a quasi baseline to just get a vibe of the interview. And
in the chat, I wasn't making any comments at all about whether I believed anything happened between the two. I asked a question whether he was in or out of rehab, and he was. I'm not making a conclusion one way or the other.
Yep. Oh, and good point. Marilyn Manson only 2 years older. Yeah, Marilyn Manson is a year older than me. So that's part of why the whole thing with Marilyn Manson, I'm like, yeah, because I grew up with Kiss, the same as Marilyn Manson. I grew up with Alice Cooper. I grew up with Ozzy biting the head off. You know, it's nothing Marilyn Manson did was really that shocking, Alyte. And that's why it's kind of going and pushing back a little. Is like, oh, no. This is well-trod territory. Marilyn Manson will say that he is a combination of Alice Cooper, David Bowie, and with a little bit of Kiss, but he didn't like Kiss as much. And he tours with, he plays with Alice Cooper and things like that now. So these are people who are doing things long, long before.
Rob, you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
You have your we're about to watch Elaine face on, so I'm concerned.
Oh no, I don't need to. I was looking off. I was actually reading some email.
You were reading comments? Were you reading comments?
I was reading an email that came in.
Oh.
Okay.
How dare you work during working hours?
Got it. Make sure you're okay.
All right. So this is an interview where Marilyn Manson was given an award. It's probably not that far off from the whole thing with Corey's tour. I'm guessing it's 2017, 18. I forgot the exact time, but let's just watch for a minute.
I really like what he's wearing.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm Ryan J. Downey with Alternative Press, and I am here with Marilyn Manson,
Allegedly.
Ohio's son.
Yes.
I'm from Indiana, so it's like we escaped. And
we're like
here we are,
practically
back.
fucking related.
Probably related, actually.
Chances are from the north, west. No, it's like the Middle West. It's like the Middle East, but it's the Middle West. We could be related, but I don't think so because my dad's progeny was very sparkly.
Thank you for confirming, Leslie Lane. I was going to say he is either drunk or stoned during this interview.
He's like caressing the microphone, and like he's a singer. He knows not to do that.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
After they made me, they said no more. No.
That's enough.
No more.
Can't top that.
I like where you went with that. That was tight.
Yeah. Thank you. Cheers. Who are you going to plug?
Cheers.
I like where you went with that also.
Thank you.
It's not quite as heavy as a Bible. That's the problem. No, my mic.
Literally and metaphorically.
No, it's a great fucking award to get.
And well deserved. And
it also looks cooler. It looks cooler than all the other awards that I've received in the years. But
Doesn't
it? Yeah, it does actually.
Seriously.
It looks like my microphone.
It's got almost like an H.R. Geiger sort of vibe going.
It does. It also
I say that
has
as someone who had nothing to do with his creation.
No, because you'll probably get sued upon it. I don't know. I don't.
Is he still alive?
I don't know. But I went to his house one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me about that, please.
No.
Goddamn.
But it does have a punishing look upon it, and it is good because I use this microphone sometimes, and it is by far the coolest looking award that I've gotten.
I have to say,
and I'm happy. So I want to thank Alternative Press because
we want to thank you for being here.
Well, let's like stop sucking each other's dicks just right now.
I got a little more sucking to do because I got to tell you, my Spotify playlist.
All right, I'm gonna skip forward to the point.
Spidey's face.
Look, this is not the best interview of him, and I'm, of course, I'm always everything's perfect. Marilyn's no, he's not. Okay, he's obviously drunk here. There's something going on. He says something in this interview that is really dark. And Spidey, really pay attention now to what's going on, because I do want to get your read on what he is saying.
Is it what's coming up right now?
I mean, he already scared the interviewer once when he said, "No, I'm not going to talk about." This is already going swimmingly. Backed off immediately.
Yeah, this just watch.
The new Marilyn Manson record coming out on Valentine's Day
That is the
of February.
biggest. I'm going to say that trumps the tour announcement we had a couple interviews ago.
Once I got arrested for putting a gun in the mouth of the editor of Spin, and I hid out at the Trump Towers, so that trumped that.
And there were. And
did you catch that?
Yeah.
Let me go back.
Yeah.
Oh shoot!
They went way too far back.
Oh no!
Yeah, I went out of the video. That's fine. I know it is. Oh, come on.
I'm going to say that trumps the tour announcement we had a couple interviews ago.
Once I got arrested for putting a gun in the mouth of the editor of Spin, and I hid out at the Trump Towers, so that trumped that.
And there was a lawsuit that was.
But I hid on the I hid it in the Trump Towers in New York, and also it was on Thanksgiving. So thanks for giving me that award. Boom again.
Let me just say, let me pull your file a little bit. The best part about you putting a gun in the mouth of a magazine editor, as many of us have wanted to do.
Say what? What does Hans say? Say what? Say no?
10.
Say 10? Oh,
Yeah.
say 10.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah, I get it. Who said? Listen, it's weird.
Like it's funny. He's like doesn't know where to go with this, but
he just says it, and then he just goes and he just smiles, and he doesn't say allegedly, and he doesn't say I was accused of. He says I was arrested for putting a gun in the mouth of the whatever.
Yeah, it's an admission. He did it. He was arrested. He did it, and then he thought he was cute because he made the Trump pun.
And then the interviewer also kind of slides in, and then there was a
he didn't
lawsuit
say
about
he
it.
was arrested though, did he? I didn't hear the word arrested.
He said he was almost arrested. I thought,
He
but
was
and then
hiding.
the interviewer also kind of slides in like, and there was a lawsuit about it, and then he said, yeah, but I hid in the Trump Tower or something like that.
Yeah, why is the point of that story that he hid in a Trump Tower?
Because it trumped.
When did this?
It trumped. Because he said it's Trump's, and he goes, "I trumped that."
Lovely.
And let's go back.
No, I get it.
That was it. That was the point. Like of all of that story was told for the sole purpose of getting back to
why is you getting arrested for putting a gun in someone's mouth?
He didn't get arrested. I want to play again because I don't think he got arrested here.
That is the biggest. I'm going to say that trumps the tour announcement we had a couple interviews ago.
Once I got arrested for putting a gun in the mouth of the editor of Spin, and I hid out at the Trump Towers, so that trumped that.
And there was a lawsuit that was.
He thinks it's clever. He thinks it's really clever.
The I hid it in the Trump Towers in New York, and also it was on Thanksgiving.
Reiterating.
So thanks for giving me that award. Boom again.
Let me just say, let me pull your file a little bit. The best part about you putting a gun in the mouth of a magazine editor, as many of us have wanted to do from time to time, one of us. You were a journalist. You were one of us.
Yes, I'm still one of you.
Yeah. Let's talk. Can we talk about acting real quick while you're here? I'm always afraid you're going to leave because you got somewhere to be.
Where go be? This is the best thing. Why would I leave here?
There was a.
Anyway,
that's so convincing.
That brings me to my next question. Is he doing that? Like the same thing with the hand gesture, showing that to the camera. The same thing with the use of profanity. The same thing with using that story. Is he doing that to give an abrupt end to the interview? He just wants out. He wants to say the most controversial thing in that moment, so he can just walk out.
Yeah, is this an act?
That's my question, Spidey. That's why I have you here. I mean, I quite literally. This is like his book, Alyte.
It's your job to tell us.
No, I mean, Alyte, is this not like his book? His book is that way. It's like we did the S&M, and I was whipping her back to. And by the way, I've interviewed the people in question. Like, no, we never did that. So that is a question. Now, there was in fact a lawsuit from Spin Magazine, an editor, to Marilyn Manson, and then he countersued for like $40 million or something, and then it just settled and went away, and nobody really talked about it. This is around 2000, 2001. Don't know what was the outcome of it, but that's where I'm saying it's kind of confusing. And this is about as dark as you can get on Manson. Would you agree? It does not put him in a good light. That is not a really cool statement. I do want to point out if there is problems with any of this. I'm interested in all of it.
So there's who he is as a person. There's who he is as a persona, as a character. Then on the outest layer of that is he's been drinking
a lot. You can tell that.
So it's like rock, paper, scissors, right? Does the drinking beat the persona and bring out his real self? Does the persona get amplified when he's drunk and he's constantly aware that this is TV, this is who I'm supposed to be? Listen, I haven't had a chance to baseline Marilyn Manson properly. If I had, I'd have a lot more answers for you, because those who watch my channel, who follow, know that when it comes to isolated short clips, if I have like 8 hours of testimony I've never heard, I can baseline within that testimony. But like I did Ricky Martin last week, I had to go baseline elsewhere. Do we have any baseline material on Marilyn Manson where the character isn't being put on, of just him living like behind the scenes?
No. And I just listened to a really interesting WTF Mark Maron, and he talked about that's one of his disagreements with Alice Cooper, is he's saying that he keeps the character kind of on more and does not take it off as much. Now, there are people who know him in private, and they're saying, no, he's not like that in private or whatever, but it's kind of like he doesn't seem to ever completely have it off when he's in public in any way. I can't speak to his private because I'm not there, obviously, but he has said that I don't turn it off.
I just keep thinking of Daft Punk and how they would always walk around with their helmets everywhere they went, because they wanted to keep the image of the fantasy or whatever, like everywhere they went, right?
Yeah.
Is that am I right in saying that?
they were essentially hiding. They did not want to they're extremely shy French pair. Hang on, this is an interview where I believe he is completely
that could
sober.
be the same thing for Brian Warner.
It could well be, but here, this is, I think, a good interview. I brought it up as a comparison for hand gestures, but I think he's pretty sober in this, or he seems to be, flowing a lot more.
As much as in a united way with art, because if you didn't have art, you wouldn't have anything. We wouldn't have this camera that's filming us. We wouldn't have the couch you're sitting on.
But for the longest time, I think if you asked anybody about Marilyn Manson, even people who weren't necessarily big fans of yours, but aware of your presence, because you have a strong presence, then you'd ask, is Marilyn Manson the kind of person who's trying to build people up and build up a strong foundation upon which to better understand each other? Or is he trying to tear it down? You know what the answer would have been. Now, would they have been right back then, or has everyone got you wrong the whole time?
If they would have been right back then, we wouldn't be here now, probably.
Now I'm asking in the chat, and I just typed it, but Leslie Lane knows him, and okay, so he stopped doing drugs before this interview. So Leslie, is this a good baseline? Can you just let us know in the chat if this is, as best we can see?
At the very least, we're getting his interview baseline.
Yes. Okay.
So whether this is Brian Warner, is that his real name, Brian Warner?
Brian Warner, yeah.
So whether this is Brian Warner or Marilyn Manson is unimportant, because this is his I'm being interviewed baseline.
Okay, she's saying that this is pretty close to his
who he is off stage.
I guess so.
You see a lot of the same satire dodges.
Very good baseline.
Like
He's smiling
Laura Brazier says not a good baseline in my opinion. Leslie Lane says very good baseline. So we're getting conflicting. Laura, can you defend that position?
Leslie lived with the guy. So that's why I'm kind of leaning toward her a little bit. I don't know if Laura lived with him or not.
Laura, did you live with Marilyn Manson? Because I'd love to know why you think this isn't a good baseline. Bad baseline. Beagle Girl 82 says bad baseline. So can we get?
So Beagle, I mean, I'm just wondering. I mean, I know one person that at least knows him, has been around him, and all that. So
I mean, look, Leslie's saying this is pretty comparable to. I think so far we have.
Mm-hmm.
Larry King interview is actually very good. You know what? I'll go to that. That's
yeah.
I thought that interview was good because there's a way he dodges that question with satire and with redirecting the question that's similar in tone to how he does it in the other interview, just less appropriate in the other interview.
That's a good point. Yeah, redirecting. I talk about what I want to talk about, regardless of what you
on
ask.
Larry King now, Marilyn.
Yeah. No, this is a good one too. Yeah, you could tell he respects the hell out of Larry King.
I was gonna say
that there is a quality there though that I feel like when I watched this before or heard it, that he respects Larry King, so that he's really toned down.
Today's guest is Marilyn Manson, a man who needs no introduction, a platinum-selling musician, Grammy-nominated artist, cult rock icon. He is now performing with another friend, Alice Cooper, in his Masters of Madness Shock Therapy Tour. When he's not making music, he acts, makes absinthe, and dabbles in watercolor painting. And thanks for coming. Your name is Brian Warner.
Brian Hugh Warner, in fact.
Does anyone ever call you Brian?
My dad does. Yeah.
He never got hooked on this, did he?
No. He's hooked on it. In fact, he likes to come out on tour. I think he likes to soak up some of the. He came from me, so
he helps
with the young girls.
Oh, tell me how this thing came. Tell me the shtick. How did you become Marilyn Manson?
Well, we might have this in common. I was moved to Florida with my father, and my first job that I could get, I conned my way into becoming a music journalist in Florida. So I interviewed a lot of people.
Where, Miami?
Yeah, in Miami. It was a magazine called 25th Parallel. And by the time I was 19, I was a senior editor. And I was also most of the other writers. So the very first interview with Marilyn Manson was conducted by Brian Warner. So
you interviewed yourself?
Yeah, and I didn't have any songs yet. So I sort of
how
set
did
that
you
deadline.
come up with the Marilyn Manson thing?
Well, it was the obvious watching, at the time, all the Phil Donahues and Jerry Springer, before Jerry Springer. But, the fact that I was born in 1969, and that was the year that the Beatles, Charles Manson, and Marilyn Monroe. I just remember as a kid, Marilyn Monroe, fake name, Charles Manson, fake name. You put the two together, it's like abracadabra, and it really describes American culture altogether. Marilyn Manson, you've got light and dark.
But you take the name of a notorious villain.
Well, she wasn't a villain.
No, he. Good.
That was some wit there. I like that. She wasn't a villain.
Yeah,
but it also didn't answer the question. It's
yeah.
But you were right about him having a great amount of respect. The full answers, the timing, the waiting, the not redirecting, the statement of his full name, all of it. There was a great deal. And when he does that statement of, well, you and I might have something in common, that's not a question. He already knows the answer. He's saying it because he's trying to connect with Larry King in that moment. You weren't kidding.
Yeah.
He really does respect him.
Yeah.
Smart. Another thing is, I think that Larry King is a very strong interviewer, and I think the fact that he's very emotionless sort of gets people that like they have to bring in that emotion and warmth and empathy. And when you have two people that are like cold in nature, someone's got to give. Otherwise, it can be a very dry interview. So we're seeing Marilyn come a little bit out and being what he needs to be within this interview. I would assume if another interviewer with a smaller reputation, Larry King, said, you started the interview with, "This is your real name," I assume Marilyn Manson would not have answered that. He would have dodged it. He would have made a joke. He would have been like, "No, I'm Marilyn," type thing. He's really sort of playing into Larry's frame, and he's quite a bit warmer in this, I would say, than the other interviews. I think, like you said, he respects Larry King quite a bit.
Here's actually, I have another.
Lights out.
What did I do?
No, sorry, Spidey.
Oh, Spidey. All right.
Video.
Yeah, I know. I've got to find it. So I'm deliberately not. Here's another one so we can bring ourselves into pop culture full circle. And is Spidey back or Spidey?
He magically disappeared.
Oh, he's
There he
chasing his
is.
turtle, I bet. He's got the fastest tortoise on the planet. This is another interviewer, guys. And he's with another person. So you get to see him play off with somebody.
Great.
We were having a nice time. We're chatting. It's the only show where you can have us two here eating. Come on. Yeah. I think our bleep machine may run out of batteries tonight. The word been mentioned so much. That's as close as I'm gonna get to it. Oh God! No, there's a lot of crap piling up in the office. So it's totally random, but I just wanted to. This is a thing.
He looks so young.
This isn't even dirty. Oh, what's in here is sweet. You're gonna pull out a no. There's they're on the internet. It's a company, and you send them a photograph of somebody, and they will make you personalized candy dispensers. Wow! There's you. Isn't that good? And you give me one of those. You got me the ejaculator. I got the ejaculator. And they made one of me, and it seems that I am a frightened albino.
Can't do that anymore. Can't do that anymore.
That's my little sweetie. Anyway, that's for you.
Little
treasure that I know.
I can put my E in here. Yes.
Can't do that anymore.
It's earlier.
What?
Can't say these things anymore. This interview is like a blast from the past. You can't. These are all things you can't say anymore.
Oh no, you can't say any of this. No. Oh, believe me, it gets worse. But I think this is such an interesting combo. You know, I mean, with Chris Rock, a legendary comedian, he throws in his own at different points, and it's just a interesting combination. And these are good for baselining different points.
I'd like to thank you, Eric, for allowing me to analyze footage of Chris Rock where he doesn't end up getting slapped. This is a nice.
I was just thinking about that. This was long ago.
Yeah, this is like 2003-ish. I don't remember. It's a while.
Long before he ever had to worry about Will Smith.
Marilyn Manson mirrors body language and posture of.
Well, it's weird, but it's also like they get along because they're very much leaning towards each other. And a lot of people cross legs is something a lot of people misinterpret heavily. It's one of the things in body language we misinterpret the most.
2004.
People think
no, it's comfort. It's actually the opposite. You don't, because if you're going to escape, you can't run away. If your legs are crossed, you'll fall over.
Exactly. So people think cross legs is anxious or stressed. It's not unless you see rubbing or tension. So if someone's got their legs crossed and you're seeing like them rub up and down or rub the thigh, that could be stress. But if someone's just sitting there with their legs crossed, typically that's a very comfortable way to sit. But like Eric said, usually to gauge how comfortable someone is when they're sitting down, the question I like to ask myself is, how long would it take for them to get up and leave with all their things? So someone who's comfortable, if the legs are crossed, that stands in the way of fight or flight response. You can neither fight nor flight if your legs are crossed. So cross legs is comfortable. Having your things kind of spread out and splayed out is comfortable. You know, people who are stressed will clutch onto their bag and their jacket like they're ready to go. Their attention is towards the door. He's very comfortable here. He's leaning towards Chris. We see the hand there like this, but this could be interpreted as a blocking gesture, but there's also this lean towards him. You know, if he was uncomfortable, he'd be leaning the other way. Chris is also leaned towards him. Here he's leaned back. That's comfortable, but he's turned towards him. So at no point in this do I see...
He's engaged the whole time. He goes in, out, you know, he's very... I agree.
Earlier, we put a rumor, right? Marilyn Manson rumor about what was it? You were playing poker with Dick Cheney and Cool and Pool.
Yeah, Dick and Cole.
At the...
During the convention.
That's
true.
it. Yes. Well,
that happened, right? Sure.
Hang on. Now, it'll be on message board if anyone's replied. Has anyone replied? Well,
look at this fancy computer.
Yeah.
This is a prop.
I love the effects for sure.
Yeah, true. Dick what does it say? It says Dick Cheney would never hang out with Colin Powell because he's black.
That's true.
Oh man,
call my in. Bush gets reelected.
Do you think he will?
I don't know, man. Kerry's got $500 million, man.
So he doesn't need the work.
Yeah, you can't get pissed off when you got $500 million at nothing. Bush called you a pussy. I got $500 million. Can't get mad at nothing.
Yeah.
What dildo thing?
The dildo cam.
You had a
I
dildo
spend
cam?
money indiscriminately.
Really?
Oh, he and his soon-to-be wife bought a dildo cam.
Really?
It's a dildo with a camera built in, so you can do this whole kind of Discovery Channel.
Right.
Oh
as
my.
soon as you get married, it's all over. Dildo cam, how dare you? I'm gonna make some cookies and not you.
Hey, listen, very quickly, we've just got to go out. We've got to wrap up.
Anyway, does that give you some more ideas?
Yeah,
Spidey,
like,
of different.
look,
This is
relax.
different points of time too. Like that was 2004.
Yeah.
The first one was 2020, and then the one with Larry King.
I think we can chalk up the first interview we looked at as being heavily influenced by alcohol and just sort of blurting shit out. I think that's the way I would look. I don't listen. It's kind of a checkmate for me. I don't analyze people who are under the effect of any substance. I just don't, because I don't even know where the thoughts are coming from. So I'm trying to look at it. It's not something that I do. I'm trying to look at it, and I think we could just chalk it up to he's just drunk. That's it. Because we're seeing in the other interviews calmness, coherence. He speaks well, wit. That's his interview baseline. And in that first one, he's kind of like dismissive and sort of incoherent. And the mic, he's like using it as like a prop. He's very sort of flimsy with it. I think we just chalk it up to alcohol, and nothing we get will hold value, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, then,
what are your thoughts?
I'm unsure exactly. Like I said, just taking that out of context. And by the way, I found that and I was like, okay, well, that doesn't look good. I mean, that's you're talking about a pretty aggressive action against somebody else. That's really not cool. Made a point, very, very proud of it. But again, like reading his book, it's a whole lot of, did that actually happen? Or is he really just exaggerating the hell out of it? Because he was almost drunkenly showing off.
Yeah.
I think maybe, there is that, like, I'm a rock god. You just gave me an award for being the psycho rock god. And this is why I'm the rock god. But I don't know. I don't know for sure. I definitely would defer to you on that.
Yeah, listen, I've seen alcohol. Like we either side can be argued, and I'm not gonna, like, if someone comes to me and says, no, alcohol brings out the things we're not comfortable saying, like our real inner darkness, like alcohol does that, I'd be like, yeah, that's a good point. That is possible. Then somebody else come and say, yeah, but alcohol just makes us silly and we say dumb shit we don't mean. Yeah, it does that too. I don't know what alcohol does to him. I haven't seen him drunk enough to know, like, does he just blurt stupid things out, or do his truths come out? Is honestly, it's so hard to say, because alcohol can do both those things. So, for me, when it comes to analysis, I like to present things that, like, most of the time, here's what it means. With alcohol, most of the time, there is no real most of the time.
Okay, well, Leslie offers she's going to send me some videos, but folks who are like, geez, you just picked one video out of, yes, I did. You know why? Because I saw that it was being used to point out that he's a monster. I cannot just bring up accusers and say, let's look at a video here. Let's compare their behavior. If somebody is going to sit in something critical, I have to look at it.
We have to. Yeah,
I am not going to sit here and be intellectually, I try to be intellectually honest. So if there's something critical or something bad, then I need to see it and I need to share it.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry if it pisses you off. Okay.
No, this is
just, I'm talking the
audience. Eric, otherwise you'd just be pandering, and you would just be like looking at one side. That would be ridiculous.
And I'm completely uncertain. So,
yeah,
exactly. Folks, beat me up in the comments below. I'll look forward to it. YouTube likes it. It feeds the algorithm.
Yeah. That interview felt like the one where he was drunk. You know what it felt like the most, having watched all those three at the same time? He really didn't want to be there. Yep. And he was basically doing everything he could because he couldn't tell the interviewer, just F you, I don't want to talk to you. Like, he pushes and pushes and pushes the boundary. And if you look at the contrast between how he is with Larry King, Chris Rock, everything about his body language is just more comfortable, relaxed. With that one, he's like, nope, I don't know.
Yeah. It could be.
Well, I
it
mean,
could be, yeah.
Even just like, I mean, with Larry King, I mean, he probably didn't have any choice in this, but he's sitting directly across from him, right? Like, it's face to face, that it's like direct eye contact with one another. And then in the last interview on the Graham Norton show, you know, he's turned towards Chris Rock. Like, I'm looking at you as I'm talking to you. I'm looking at Graham, you know, and in the first one, it was like they're sitting side by side and he's like barely making eye contact. Like, he's just kind of like mostly looking forward or down or wherever, and just sort of like, and just very much like inside himself. I mean, yeah, for sure. I get the same impression that he didn't want to be there and he didn't know how to get out of it. And so his way to do it is just to sort of like act outrageous, you know, in whatever ways that he could, sort of give a show and get in, get out as soon as possible. Try to figure out a way to make an exit. I don't know. That's the impression that I got.
All right. Well, perfect. And again, I do want to hear from everybody. And I expect some people to be highly annoyed. That's great. If you know of videos that you want me to look at, put them in the comments. Please share links. I am very open to this. I really love hanging out with these guys, and I like looking at this. You know, good, bad, otherwise. Wanted to take a little bit of a break with Corey Feldman. Sorry, I just don't take the whole sabotage thing very seriously. I admit it. And his performance, I absolutely don't take seriously. I think it's quite hilarious, even more so when Rob has to watch, because that's half of the fun of the show is make Rob suffer. That's the subtitle of this. So if you guys like this, if you love this show, and I hope you do, we have a lot more coming. Please consider subscribing, and hopefully we'll see you next week.